All right, Nick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. It's Combine Week, and we always get a lot of interesting news, interesting tidbits from GMs and coaches around this time of year. They get interviews, they let things slip sometimes, and I think if you read into some of the comments by Seattle Seahawks GM John Schneider, some really interesting stuff you can take away from it. We've got something on that in just a second, but before we do, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. And Nick, as I alluded to, some interesting comments from Schneider at the latest press conference at the Combine. Let's hop into it and we can talk more about it on the other side. This is from over on X. It's at Bob Condata. It says Seahawks GM John Schneider says the team will meet with Geno Smith's agent this week to begin talks on an extension. He says there's no deadline, but Smith is our guy, or so to speak. I think it's really interesting comment here. If you kind of read between the lines, you get a feel of what the Seahawks are actually saying. I know you got some thoughts on this one, Nick, but before we get to you, Seahawks fans, in the comment section below, kind of a, not fully endorsing statement here from Schneider. I think it's a little bit interesting the way that he worded things and the way that they are treating this situation. So, what do you think is going to end up happening with Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith? Do you think he gets extended? Do you think the deal gets done? Do you want them to get the deal done? Do you think this is still the future of this Seahawks team? Let us know your thoughts on everything Geno Smith in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this latest statement by the Seahawks?
So I think this is an example. I think this is sort of the rare situation where a general manager, when he's interviewed at the combine, is actually 100% honest and direct, right? Usually there's a lot of smoke screens. They're saying one thing, meaning something else. They're trying to hide something, or they're doing, I know, you know, that I know that you know. So they're trying to do some kind of funky games. Here, I think Steiner's just being honest and saying, there isn't another alternative out there this offseason. Just isn't. The quarterback class is not deep enough in this draft. It may not be just top heavy enough either. I know a lot of people like Cam Ward. I know a lot of people like Shadur Sanders, but they both have flaws. The reality is the best solution for the Seattle Seahawks going forward is to extend Geno Smith and then wait for their moment. And this is what the good teams have done. The Philadelphia Eagles extended Carson Wentz. They still drafted Jalen Hurts. It worked out very well for them. The Kansas City Chiefs extended Alex Smith. 3 years later, they drafted Patrick Mahomes. The Baltimore Ravens extended Joe Flacco in 2016. 2 years later, in 2018, they drafted Lamar Jackson. You have to wait for your moment and pick your opportunity to get your guy. And that's exactly what I think the Seattle Seahawks are doing here. Mike McDonald, of course, has the connections with the Baltimore Ravens, spending some time there. So he understands this concept. And I think that's what Schneider is doing here. And look, I think the Seattle Seahawks and Schneider, if they were honest with each other, they'd love to upgrade the quarterback position, find their future franchise guy this offseason. We all know the ceiling with Geno Smith. He is a good quarterback, undeniably so. You're probably not winning a title with Geno Smith. You're probably not getting to a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. That's just the facts. That's just the reality. You're probably winning 9, 10 games with Smith. You know that's what you're going to get. You ain't winning a title, most likely. The reality is, though, there aren't any quarterbacks available either through the draft or free agency that Seattle could get that push them to a title this season or in the future. So what do? Extend your quarterback, keep the momentum going in your franchise, keep building the culture, keep building the talent, and then wait for your moment to get your Mahomes, to get your Lamar Jackson, to get your Jalen Hurts. That's what these championship teams, elite teams have done. And I think the Seattle Seahawks are playing to do that. This is the smart move at the QB position, but you consider the environment. Remember, you always have to consider the context. Everyone wants to every offseason, if you need a quarterback to go hyper aggressive, trade up, get your guy, or go all in and trade the guy we have on the roster. The reality is, most off seasons, the guy, your franchise guy, your future superstar, your next Patrick Mahomes, your next Russell Wilson, he usually isn't available. You have to be open to those opportunities and have a chance to take advantage of them when the opportunity strikes. The Chiefs with Andy Reid, they built their culture. They built that team with Alex Smith. They extended Alex Smith, but then Mahomes was available. They went out and drafted him. The rest is history. Of course, we saw the same thing, like I said, with the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the model you want to follow, and that's exactly what the Seattle Seahawks with John Schneider are doing here. It's a smart move for the quarterback position.
Yeah, Nick, and I think we've seen something similar to this, very different as far as the capital and the ability that the team had at the time. they kind of look at what the Chicago Bears did with Caleb Williams. They had an opportunity, the draft before that, to go do pretty much whatever they wanted to do with that draft pick, but they trade out of the spot. They wait till the next draft, and then they strike while the iron's hot. They end up getting lucky, get another really high draft pick. We're able to get Caleb Williams in the draft. I think it's kind of like the situation Seattle's in. They're like, well, is Geno Smith the long-term future of this team? Not so sure, but there's not really anything available right now. There's nothing to move in on. There's nothing to go whole hog on here right now. And we had another story we did yesterday, I believe, where we had some of the rankings of the free agent quarterbacks out there. There's nothing out there. There's nobody. The best option you got, Sam Darnold. And is that something you want to pay Geno Smith money for? No, I'd rather pay Geno Smith money for Geno Smith than Sam Darnold. I think that's a better option there. And the other option for trades right now is Matt Stafford. Do you want to go all in on a guy like Matt Stafford? Is this the team that's built to go all in on a guy like Matt Stafford? And maybe how long do you get out of Matt Stafford? A year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe if you're lucky. I don't think that's the move to make for the Seahawks team either. And I think when you hear Schneider's comments when he says, we expect him to be our guy, but we got to do what's right too. So I think they say, okay, well, he's going to be the guy. We don't have any opportunities opening up. We want to make sure it's the right move for this team. And for right now, it is. So I really think this is the smartest move the Seahawks can make right now, sticking with Geno Smith. But I agree with you. If the opportunity lays itself in front of the Seahawks, I think they're going to pounce on a new quarterback because they do need to start thinking about the future of this franchise.
And I know it's frustrating as a fan base, but the reality is if you're patient, if you wait for your moment and your opportunity, the opportunity will come to you and you will see great things come to your franchise. That's what the Chiefs have had. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles have had, and the Seattle Seahawks. I know you guys, you're a great fan base. Every time we do a Seahawks video, get a lot of good conversations with you guys going. Now is the time to be patient. Don't be the Pittsburgh Steelers that have struggled to find Ben Roethlisberger's replacement because they keep going after the shiny new toy every offseason. And now look, they're at it again this offseason, right? Have your guy in Geno Smith. You got him. You'll be able to build a talent, build a culture, build a team around him. And then when your franchise guy comes along, you will be ready to strike. That's what the Seattle Seahawks are doing here. And once again, it's the right decision.